St. John chronicles how that changed her in a short film called Rock Bottom. She made it with the help of the Youth Documentary Academy in Colorado Springs. Rock Bottom screened this month at the Scout Film Festival for young filmmakers in Vermont. St. John speaks now with CPR's Andrea Dukakis.
Becca, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's striking in the film how you become captive to your boyfriend's demands, and that's after having what seems like a really happy, independent childhood. You interviewed friends and family members who contrast your life with this man to your life before you dated him. Here's your sister.
You were very bubbly and extroverted, and you loved to sing. You sang everywhere, walking down the street. And you were just confident, and you were just Becca.
I want to understand when all that started to change. How did the abusive relationship start?
Well, I had gotten back with the boyfriend in high school, and then really it was just kind of a slow decline. As we dated longer, the control increased, and there were more rules put in place, and so I really started changing as that all happened too. So it was kind of just a slow decline of everything happening.
And you had dated him for a while in middle school and then dated him in high school. It seems like your family recognized there was a problem with this guy long before you did. Here's your cousin Colin describing how he tried to isolate you.
I know he didn't like us talking, and that was a big reason why we didn't talk. And that bugged me quite a lot because control is one of the first warning signs in an unhealthy relationship.
He also tried to control what you wore. For example, he told you not to wear open-toed shoes. What were some other examples?
So no clothing that was tight whatsoever. He wanted me to wear sweatpants and baggy t-shirts, and then also not doing my hair at all in a fancy way, just pulling it back in a ponytail or bun, and then also no wearing any makeup at all, and then contacts in my phone. He would go through and delete anyone that he didn't want me to talk to or anything like that. So it was very controlling, and there were a lot of rules.
The relationship was violent sometimes as well. How was that?
So that happened a little bit later in the relationship, and I touched briefly on that in the film just because it was definitely leading more violent, but it wasn't exactly as violent as most domestic violence relationships can be. So there were times where he would push me against the wall and grab my wrists, but really it could have been a lot worse than it was.
And your parents could see this change in you.
During that time, you became pretty distant. You were never home. That was one big difference. You were just gone.
It felt like there was a ghost in our house. We'd see it for 5 minutes, grab some stuff, and then go.
Did your family warn you that something was very wrong with this relationship?
Absolutely, several times. They always told me that they thought something wasn't right, and that maybe it was an unhealthy relationship, and that I probably could do better and find someone who treated me like I should, but I didn't exactly listen until the end of the relationship.
It seems like all along you knew deep down something wasn't right. What kept you in the relationship?
Honestly, I thought I was in love, so that kind of pulled me towards him. And, I had known him for a really long time, so we had a lot of history together, and part of me thought that there was nothing really else out there for me. I thought that he was it.
What's the difference, if you thought of this, between being a kid in this situation and how it might be for an adult?
Well, it is very different. As a younger person, not many people know that this is an issue, and it actually is incredibly a huge issue in my age group and younger too. But as either age, older or younger, I think it's just really hard to tell someone and to talk about it and to get it out there. So I think regardless of age, it is just a really hard situation, but being younger, not many more people realize that it's happening.
Eventually, you got so depressed that your sister took you to a hospital for treatment, and you broke up with your boyfriend. According to your friend Paige and others, things got better.
I
Yeah.
remember like the first time when I heard you sing again, I knew Becca's back.
I would like to think you missed your family because you came back to us and you seem pretty happy that you did. We sure are.
In the film, you had lots of photos from the happy times in your life and then photos of the dark period. And you must have spent a lot of time going through these photos to make the film. Could you see the difference in your own body language or even the way you dressed or presented yourself?
Absolutely. It's kind of good that I take way too many pictures of myself because then we really did have documentation of when I dolled myself up so much and then when it became like I looked so bad. So it was really helpful to have all those pictures.
At the end of the film, you end up falling in love with your friend Paige, who was your childhood friend. And how was that relationship different for you? I understand you're still with her.
Yes, absolutely. So that relationship is just completely healthy and amazing. She is so supportive of me, and she never ever tells me like that I can't do anything. She always is just there to be my number one fan, and it's just really a give and take like it should be.
And at the end of the film, we realize this is so deeply personal. And why did you choose to interview your friends and family and have yourself play just a small speaking role on camera?
Well, honestly, my friends and family were the ones who could tell the story the best because they were the ones who were there going through it with me. And honestly, I wasn't really in a place to understand everything that was going on. So they were really the ones who kind of understood and pulled the whole thing together when really I only kind of had a narrow vision of what was happening.
And how did making the film, in a sense, you must have relived the experience. How did that affect you?
Yeah, every time I watch it, I relive the film, and it gives me chills and butterflies at certain points. But it was sort of a healing process also. So, it gives me butterflies when I watch it, but at the same time, it's kind of like I've gotten this out there. Hopefully, it's helping someone who sees it, and that just honestly makes me feel a lot better.
And you now work at the Youth Documentary Academy, the group that helped you make this film. And you help other young people, mostly high schoolers, tell their own personal stories. Our staff has watched 3 of these films now, and we've been really impressed with how they deal with different, really difficult topics, race, PTSD. What's the most important thing to making a successful film about something so personal?
Well, the personal films come out the strongest because you're passionate about what you're making. You're passionate about what you're producing. So, really with these films that these students make, it's just super powerful because it's them telling their own stories or something that has affected them in their lives, which is incredibly touching and way more impacting than something they're not connected to.
In the film, you chose not to name the man in the film.
Yes.
What made you decide that?
Well, I wanted to respect him and his family because I don't want anyone going after him because I hope he has a wonderful life and his family too. And out of safety concerns too, I didn't want anyone trying to find him or hurt him at all just because I wanted to get the story out there, but it wasn't ever supposed to be a blaming or attacking sort of video.
Have you had any contact with him?
He tried to contact me once through social media, but I never replied.
Becca, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Rebecca St. John's film is called Rock Bottom. She spoke with CPR's Andrea Dukakis. There is a link to the documentary and to the others we've talked about from this academy in Colorado Springs at cprnews.org. St. John lives in the Springs, and her film screened this month at the Scout Film Festival for Young Filmmakers in Stowe, Vermont. All right, finally today with 2016